Hello, mate. Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. How you feeling, man? Are you okay? I hope so. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, friends. The daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it. But of course, more importantly, asking for yours, dear sweet viewer, subscriber, etc. And there's a bunch of stuff. There is a bunch of stuff being said about Chelsea at the moment, mate. Loads. Ins and outs and sensational stories and speculations and rumours. Stuff for us to react to in today's video. We're going to talk about Di Marzio talking about Lukaku trying everything to leave. Ruben Loftus-Cheek to Inter Milan. This is potentially, I don't know, great for him, sad for me, if true. We can talk about Dembele and Lukaku, Matthijs de Ligt. Look, there's loads to get into, mate. Absolutely loads. So thank you for dropping a like. Please do consider subscribing if you're new. And hit the bell, man. Why not, eh? Click. Takes a second. Why not? This video is brought to you by Spitch. Ding, 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 ding. Mate, the off-season is in, but then within no time, football will be back. Spitch is my partner as a fantasy football, but if you've heard me say it before, absorb it in. It utilizes Opta stats. If you're a nerd like me when it comes to football, you probably are, and you want to play fantasy football, you want players to actually be rewarded for good performances, you can have this on Spitch. It's absolutely free, though if you sign up, you can wager for money and win money in certain competitions and prize draws and stuff, so you have to be 18. It's not available in every country, but it's an amazing fantasy football, and you don't have to commit to a season. You can just drop in and play every weekend. It's a load of fun. Please do consider checking out Spitch by clicking the link down in the description. Sign yourself up. Get ready. Have it on your phone, have it on your computer. Wicked. Ding! And we're back in the studio. So, yeah, thanks for checking out Spitch. Where to start, ladies and gentlemen? Where to start? Let's start with Matthijs de Ligt. Now, this is a sort of speculative thing because Fabrizio Romano recently said, yeah, Chelsea have their interest in Matthijs de Ligt has not wavered. Of course, he cost a lot of money to Juventus, one of that golden Ajax generation. Ziyech came to Chelsea. De Jong went to Barca, Van der Beek went to United, De Ligt went to Juventus. They all split up and got sold for a lot of money for Ajax. And it kind of makes sense, Matthijs de Ligt going to Juve, because it's where centre-backs are cool there. You know, you had the BBC, Bonucci, Barzagli, Chiellini, Jesus, forgot then, who's now retired, God bless him. So yeah, man, he's a really good centre-back. He was a leader. I think he struggled for a long time at Juve, but he's still recognised as one of the best young centre-halves in the world. We're referencing an article here from Football.London by Louis Chandler. Let's just read a little bit, man. Chelsea have been long-term admirers of Juventus centre-back Matthijs de Ligt, with the summer transfer window just around the corner. But any deal would be far from straightforward. So here's the issue. According to transfer specialist Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea's interest in De Ligt has not wavered, like I said, in the past year. The Dutchman's been linked with an exit from Juventus for some time now, with the Blues eager to position themselves as a potential destination. Of course, losing both Rudiger, Christensen, maybe Cesar Azpilicueta for a few million to Barcelona. Like, we need good Galactico-level players to challenge. Still only 22 years old, De Ligt has a release clause of 120 million euros. What? 102 million pounds, which is half our transfer budget already. For a centre-half, no, too much. And Juventus are eager to tie him down to a new deal to secure him to a long-term future. While that may not sound like good news for Chelsea, it may help them in the long term because he might demand a lower release clause. That's what's being speculated. So he might say 70, 80 million or something. So this kind of doesn't align with this summer, but it is being talked about a lot in the news, hence us reflecting on it. Writing in his Caught Offside column on Monday, Romano reported Matthijs de Ligt's current release clause is about 120 million. While his current contract expires in 2024, 2 years' time. So it's, you know, for a young player, it's when you want to tie them up again. Juventus now are negotiating with the Dutch defender to try get to 25 or 26. De Ligt has told the club he will only sign an agreement if the release clause is lowered. So Barcelona, who have financial problems, it is too expensive a deal for them to seriously consider at the moment. Chelsea have been monitoring De Ligt for months, but the priority is Jules Kounde. Just because we get Jules Kounde doesn't mean that's the end of the road, by the way. Like, Chelsea might look for another elite centre-back. Could that be Matthijs de Ligt? maybe not. Maybe not. Could be tricky. There's another article. I'll read you a quick quote from what Matthijs de Ligt has said. I'm reading this from Sport Witness. So this is coming from the player himself. Negotiations are ongoing at the moment. When the time comes, I will decide whether to extend or look elsewhere. I always look what's best for me in terms of the sporting project. New owners, recent champions of Europe, Thomas Tuchel. And then he said, 2 consecutive 4th place finishes are not good enough. We have to make progress. Basically saying, look, I want to win. I can't be asked for this. Maybe I'll resign. Maybe I'll look elsewhere. So there is a possibility, but maybe perhaps a slim one after Jules Kounde. Let's move on. I'm not going to spend too much time about Ousmane Dembele because we've obviously spent a lot of time discussing him recently, and until there's really concrete further developments, I'm going to put a pin in it. But we are going to fleetingly explain. Apparently, Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, have pulled out of the race to sign Ousmane Dembele. Headlines and the Mail. Chelsea handed a major boost in their pursuit of Ousmane Dembele as PSG pull out of the race to sign the Barcelona winger on a free this summer, with the French giants opting to commit funds to improving their midfield instead. Also, that contract they gave to Kylian Mbappe, my word, man, there has to be some form of financial fair play somewhere. And although he'll be a free transfer, Ousmane Dembele, he will command a sign-on fee, agent fees, high wages, so that he's not nothing's free. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Also, I think it was Ben Jacobs on Twitter said it was Leonardo who really wanted Ousmane Dembele at PSG, and of course now he's going to be replaced by Luis Campos, a new sporting director, almost certainly chosen by Kylian Mbappe, who of course worked with him at Monaco when they won the league together. He's a very good sporting director. It's the kind of person I would have wanted at Chelsea. And we'd been linked with him, by the way, historically. I think before we got Sarri, there were stories that we might get Luis Campos with him. That's probably a good move for PSG. Everything's moving in the right direction for Dembele to sign with Chelsea on a free transfer. He's very unlikely to stay with Barca. It looks like he's not going to go to PSG. Where else would he go? Chelsea need a winger. Well, they look to be in for one. And he's worked with Tuchel before. You'd imagine Tuchel would convince him. He'd be like, look, man, we won the Champions League just recently. We outplayed Real Madrid and in the was it quarterfinal or semi-final, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So he could probably convince him in terms of a sporting project. We're going to talk about Loftus-Cheek in a moment. We're probably going to sort of finish on that. There's also stories, by the way, about Christopher Nkunku recognizing the links with Chelsea, saying he's flattered. He had an insane season statistically. But as I've said to you guys before here on the channel, I've got some kind of PTSD when it comes to Bundesliga, especially Leipzig attackers coming to Chelsea who've had amazing seasons and look like they've got excellent showreels. It's just, So before we talk about, this is, I suppose, 2 Inter-related stories, which I don't know if they would intertwine, actually. But let's start with Di Marzio on Sempre Inter. Sempre Inter? Whatever. Coming from Gianluca Di Marzio, a story here about Lukaku. Oh, Lukaku, the situation is dire, I'd say. Romelu Lukaku is doing everything he possibly can to force through a return to Inter this summer and could try and convince Chelsea to sanction a 2-year loan, which would leave him 31 years old. That value would absolutely tank. According to Sky Sport Italia transfer market expert, who has reported on the situation with the striker in today's print edition of Milan-based newspaper Corriere della Sera, Lukaku has never made a secret of his desire to rejoin Inter after his transfer back to the Premier League hasn't gone according to plan. Speaking openly about it since his bombshell interview last December. Oh, I remember that. According to Di Marzio, the private communications from the 29-year-old to the Nerazzurri have rarely let up in the interim, so in the meantime, he is constantly communicated his intention to do everything he can to return. I kind of get it. Like, we're all going to dislike Lukaku for this, but he was king of the world in the San Siro, scoring loads of goals, winning the Scudetto, winning the MVP. His form for his, Belgium, the national team, was scintillating. Everyone just loved it. It was great. And then he comes to Chelsea and, but by most of his fault, but not all his fault, it goes to crap, basically. So you can understand him being like, just get me back to that life. Get me back to being king again, because I've gone from king to stable boy in, like, no time at all. So you can in sort of objective sense, you can understand why I'd want to go back. Quote, since last Christmas, Lukaku has been sending public and private messages to Inter. He writes, calling directors and the coach, former teammates and the president ready to leave a third of his salary in London to do everything he can to make the impossible possible. Dimarzio reports that at the moment, the formula that the Belgium is trying to argue in favour of a 2-year loan deal, while he also notes that, as of yet, the Blues have not even finished paying the €115 million transfer fee from last summer. What a crap show. Good luck, Todd Boehly. I am intrigued to see how you deal with this. And Thomas Tuchel as well, because Thomas Tuchel, I feel bad for him because of, the interview, it stitched him up and everything, but I don't think he's blameless entirely, Tuchel. And that's fine. Like, no manager's perfect. So I'm really interested to see how he navigates this, man. So we'll put a pin in Lukaku for a moment and we'll move on. We'll talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek to Inter. I'm reading this from Court Offside, published by Jamie Kemble. Chelsea offer unwanted. Is he unwanted? £20 million star to Inter Milan as Thomas Tuchel eyes improvements. Who would be a manager, right? Because I'm going to read this. It's a very short article. I'll read it in a second. Tuchel took Ruben Loftus-Cheek to the side to say, mate, how have you not played more for Chelsea? Like, you're incredible. And that's not hyperbole. Ruben Loftus-Cheek can be incredible. Under Maurizio Sarri, he was incredible. Like everything you want in a number 8. I know we don't play with number 8s, but, like, the way he'd, pick the ball up, just people bounce off him, drive through midfield, put it top bins, take it to the byline, cut it back, assist, hold the ball up like a striker. He's played all over he's played as like a second striker, he's played as a right mid, a left mid, a lone CDM pivot, he's played as a number 8, a number 10. So no one's really ever found his like vibe. But when he's good, he's so good and he's so unique because he's built really strong. He's like Anthony Joshua, or like a B-Tech Anthony Joshua, but he's got really good twinkle toes. I love Ruben Loftus-Cheek when he works. So, Tuchel's looking at this superstar striker and Lukaku's done really well. He's looking at a midfielder in Ruben Loftus-Cheek who he himself has said, you're incredible, man. And now he's like, well, both have got to go. Do you know what I mean? If true. Let's read this article. Thomas Tuchel will be looking to improve his squad this summer after a disappointing season. True, and by the way, he is just going to have to be ruthless. Even players that he thinks are really good, he's got to stop thinking about, right, you're really good. He's got to start thinking about, right, do you fit the collective ideals here? The Blues finished third in the Premier League, some way behind the top 2, and they failed to pick up silverware beyond the Club World Cup and Super Cup. Don't like it when people forget it's a trophy. But aside from strengthening in the summer, Tuchel will need to trim his squad to get players out who are surplus to requirements. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, Chelsea don't see a future for Ruben Loftus-Cheek at Stamford Bridge. See, with Sal going, with Drinkwater going, with probably Barkley going, other lone players like Bakayoko and stuff. Is there not a place for Ruben Loftus-Cheek? I mean, I suppose Billy Gilmore, Ampadu, Gallagher. But, Ruben's 20... yes, he's 26. The 26-year-old made 40 appearances this season. 40 appearances, that's all right. But he only made 13 Premier League starts. Still 13 Premier League starts in a side that was the champions of Europe. For a player, that's pretty good, right? The report claims Chelsea have offered him to Inter ahead of a window opening, so this is ruthless, man. It's reported that Ruben Loftus-Cheek would be interested in a move to Italy, probably helped by the success of Fikayo Tomori and Tammy Abraham, one would assume. Both winning trophies out in Italy and having a great time. But Inter are not likely to pay as much as £20 million. Does that seem weird? Like, he's not got 12 months left in this deal. He's got like 2 or 3 years. I think he re-signed around Lampard. I think that might not. I'm pretty sure. Man, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's definitely re-signed after Maurizio Sarri because he had such a good season. Even like when he came back, maybe when he came back from injury or something. £20 million. England, he's been in England squads. He's 26 years old. He's just made 40 appearances in an elite side. 20 million. They don't want to pay as much as 20 million, but for me, 20 million sounds fine. Instead, he's been on loan, so it talks about whatever. I would be very sad to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek go, especially if it's 20 million or under, if we are to believe this report. I would genuinely be sad, but at the same time, like, you got to break eggs to make an omelette and all that. And we've just, if we're going to try and aspire to winning a Premier League title, just got to let the coach cook. And if he's like, I like you, Ruben, you're unique, but sacrifices need to be made, you know, and you're one of them, I guess. It's very sad, but I would be genuinely bummed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. It's been quite a long video, so I'm going to end it there. But yeah, loads of stories. We're, of course, going to pick up on all this stuff as and when there's updates to react to. And there's, you know, they're coming thick and fast, man. So please do make sure you sub with the bell turned on. Do check out Spitch, my partner, by clicking the link in the description. Sign up. See you soon, mate. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life, seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I love me, bitch.